The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, well, good morning. I want to thank you all for attending today. Our webinar this morning or this afternoon for some of you is going to be covering SYSPRO and Microsoft Dynamics CRM. Over the past year or two, we've partnered up with Microsoft, and we've been able to offer both their online and on-premise versions out to our user base. And I really want to thank all of you for attending. I'm going to go through today the general functionality of CRM for those of you that haven't seen it, as well as the integration package that we're offering to be able to view and work with your SYSPRO data inside of the CRM system. My name is Brian Mansfield. I'm the CRM Services Manager here at SYSPRO. I kind of handle all the day-to-day workings in terms of our CRM that some of you may be familiar with, as well as the Microsoft Dynamics CRM offering that we're putting out. So any of the information in terms of the implementation, support, or the sales end at this point will be coming through myself. We should also have Bruce Wilson on the line, who is, looks like I have a question here, who is our product marketing manager, and he covers pretty much all the SYSPRO products, and will also be available. He'll be our moderator today that will be answering some of your questions that you may have. I do have a hand up from Craig. I don't know if I can unmute you and see if you're having some. Craig, are you there? Looks like you had your hand up for a question. If you do have a question, you can type it into the comment section down inside of the webinar. So I'm going to go through some general processes. If we look at the agenda here, I'll give you an introduction to the CRM product. I'm going to start with an overview, and we'll look at some of the general functionality. We'll be taking a look at the Outlook client, as well as discussing some alternative ways that your users can connect to the product. I'm basically going to be going through 3 different process flows. So we'll kind of wear a few different hats here in terms of sales, and we'll look at some customer service functionality, and then I'll open it up for questions towards the end. So let's talk about CRM itself. As you can see at the bottom here, it's a general customer relationship management system that caters to sales, marketing, as well as customer service products. In the sales section here, actually, I think I have those two flipped around. In the marketing section, you're looking to attract and win new customers and deliver excellence, kind of promote brand awareness, and there's some great functionality in the product that does that. In the center section here, we're discovering opportunities, and we're working our pipelines in order to hopefully generate quotes and then push out that information to your customers or to your prospect base to be able to generate sales. And then lastly, the customer service side allows you to maintain those relationships, build them as well, and collaborate. And we'll see that in terms of being able to create service cases, schedule your users or schedule your technicians to be able to do that work, and also some of the integration to SYSPRO's RMA module. One of the first things to consider if you're looking at Microsoft Dynamics CRM is how you're going to manage the server-side deployment. And there's 2 options. All right, let me mute Craig here again. Did you have a question, Craig? No? Okay. There's 2 options. Number 1 is it can be hosted by either Microsoft or a third party. So you can basically run the software on the cloud. There's no IT commitments in that sense. Your IT staff won't have to worry about installation, upgrades, adding on any of the IT side work, any of the network side, or any of that information. Or you can bring it in-house, so you can install it on a server on your local network, and you're able to either run it internally, or you can also publish that out to the web so your users can connect pretty much anywhere, anytime, as long as they have internet connection. On the client side, so for the users to connect, there's 3 different methods. The first one is via a web browser, and with the upcoming release, there will be several other browsers besides Microsoft's Internet Explorer that you'll be able to use. So those users that are familiar with Google Chrome or Firefox or even Safari will have access to the CRM system. As long as you can bring that browser up and you have some internet connection, you'll be able to log in and get to the data. I'm going to spend most of the time today in what I think is one of their most powerful features is the Outlook client. And it allows you basically full functionality of your CRM, including access to all the integrated SYSPRO information right inside of Outlook. So it maintains that familiar interface that your users are used to. They're able to go into the system, go into Outlook, and they have full access to, looks like my Outlook just went down. They have full access to CRM, and they're able to manage and work in the CRM system. And you'll notice it also mentions offline access. So for those road warrior sales reps that are going out into the field, they're able to take their laptops with them. They can work on an airplane or work offline. And then when they're able to get some internet connectivity, they can sync that information back up to the server. And then the last option is Mobile Express. There's some native apps out there you can download from the Android or the Apple App Store. So all of this functionality you'll see today, depending on the app you choose or depending on the connectivity model that you go with, you'll also be able to access your CRM right on your mobile device. One last thing that's nice to point is this is Microsoft Dynamics CRM, so their integration to Microsoft products is prevalent all throughout the software, and it's really well written and well integrated tools. So along with that Outlook client, you can use Microsoft Word for any mail merge type letters. Excel is available for imports, exports. You can run dynamic reports. So you can publish out a report in Excel and just put it on a network location, and it'll update itself every time you open it direct to the data. Microsoft Link is available for presence information. So real time you can see who's online, who's at their desk, video chat, instant messaging type functionality. SharePoint is available for all your document management. So it just gives you that extended functionality in terms of managing your documents. And then SQL Server is your backend for hosting or holding the databases, but it's also the engine behind their reporting tool. So some real powerful and elegant looking reports can be generated using the report writer. So that kind of gets me through my little PowerPoint here. I'm going to spend the rest of the time actually sitting in the software itself. So as I mentioned, I'm going to go in into Outlook. And looks like I got a few emails here over the past few minutes, but I'm going to start up here with this email that I sent for myself. I just sent it from a Gmail account that I have. And you'll notice that I'm living in Outlook. I'm just in my general mail section. Over to the left here, you see we have mail, your calendar, your contacts, your tasks, all areas that you should be familiar with when you're using Outlook for email. But you'll also see that you have access to Dynamics CRM. And this link over here is the full version of CRM. It allows me to get into all the list views, run dashboards, access the records, see all the history, etc. What's nice is there's a whole bunch of general Outlook functions that write into your CRM system. And that's kind of where I'd like to start here. So if you kind of put on the hat of a customer service rep or maybe an inside salesperson, there's a general email box where an email will come in. And this is an email from Brian Mansfield, and he's asking me to get some details about the products available for next year for 2013. So to start using some of these CRM functions, the first thing I'm going to do is come up here and go to my CRM section, and I'm going to track this email. And I think I used the wrong email address. Let me bring back these two emails. Thought that would happen. So same email here. You'll see this is from a different Gmail. I'm going to track this email. And what you'll see is down on the bottom, it's gone in and it's recognized both myself as a user, and it's also gone and it's looked for this email address in my CRM system. And you'll see that in terms of a contact, it's come back in red. And it's let me know that it didn't find a corresponding contact for this email address. Well, I don't need to leave Outlook and go into CRM and go add this person's information in. I can just click on this red link here and say create a new contact. And it's going to open up a window for me and actually take me into Microsoft CRM. And here I'm in a new contact screen. You'll see it's smart enough to bring in my first and last name as well as the email address. And I may want to populate something like which customer is this for. So I'll go in and put them in familiar Bayside Bikes. There's one field I'll need down the line here, which is the currency. So I'm going to go and select that. And then I'll just save and close the record. And you'll see now the contact's in blue and it's been added into my CRM system. What's nice is this link maintains itself. So anytime I come back to this email, if I need to go see information about that contact, I don't have to go search for them in CRM. I can just come over here and click on the link, and it'll take me right to that contact record where I may want to go see activities that have been created or maybe some open opportunities that have been added to that contact record. Some more extended functionality to this is they've asked me for details about our 2013 releases. Well, I'm going to come up here and reply to this email, and I want to send them our product brochure. So inside of the CRM system, we have a whole list of sales literature. And right inside of Outlook, I have access to that repository of literature by coming to the attached sales literature. I'm going to grab our new product brochure, our 2013 brochure, and you'll see it's attached my PDF. And I can just say, see attached, and off it goes. And now that I've tracked this email, it's also tracked my response as well as the attachment that I've sent to them, all underneath their contact record. So it just becomes a nice audit trail of the information that's been sent back and forth, and I also have access to that type of literature all inside of Outlook. Now to take this a step further, this request, in my mind, as a sales rep, is an opportunity for sales. I may want to send them the brochure and then go in and follow up with them, at the start of the new year and see if I can generate some business off of this. So again, without leaving my email section, I'll just highlight the email, and I'm going to convert this email to an opportunity. So again, I don't need to go into CRM and create a new opportunity and put the account and all the information on it. I'll just convert it to an opportunity. Here's the customer. It's brought it over. I can link this back to a campaign if it was regarding maybe a marketing campaign or a trade show that we had gone to. And I'm going to open up the opportunity and then close the email when I'm done. So I'll hit OK. And now I have an opportunity form that I've created. And this starts to generate my pipeline. So this gives me the ability to start to see possible sales underneath a certain sales rep or underneath a certain customer. Whatever it may be, I'm able to go in and put some details in here. I can either have the system calculate a value, or I can put in a manual value here. And as I go down, I can use this opportunity to start to manage quotations that I may send out to this prospect or to this customer. And if I just save the opportunity real quick and come down here to the quote section, you'll see I basically have two options. And this is a decision you can make when you decide to use the integration, is how are we going to create quotes inside of, or just basically create quotes that we're going to send to the customer. Your first option is you can use CRM quotes. So you can come in here and say add new quote. It will open up the new quote screen inside of CRM, and you can add in all the general fields for a quote. You can give it a quote number, or that can be generated automatically. Add the contact. You can put in your date fields, and then you can add in products over here to the right. Now, because we're integrated to SYSPRO, these products will all be products from your inventory, and we can also bring over pricing as well. So we can bring over the coded pricing from SYSPRO, as well as any contract pricing that's against the customer that this quote is for. So that's option one, and it'll bring in the shipping address, and et cetera, when I actually bring in the account, the customer account. Option two is I can come in and I can use, and you'll see it'll link that quote back over, is I can use SYSPRO's quotation module. So I can come up here using my SYSPRO buttons, and I can create, edit, query, or confirm my quotes right from CRM. And again, I'm really right from Outlook. I've never left Outlook. And I can hit create. You'll see it will go out, hopefully launch here. Give it a moment. I'll hit OK. And the first time I log in the morning, it's going to ask me my SYSPRO operator and password, and then it'll cache it in my system for about 8 hours, or you can change the settings on there. I'll hit OK. It's going to go out. It's going to take that customer, and it's going to take me to the SYSPRO quotation entry screen, which some of you should be familiar with. I can go in, add a stock line. I'll just quickly throw a value on here, hit 1, save it, and then end my quote. And now what it's done is it's written Once I refresh the screen, it will write that quote back to the opportunity. So two different options in terms of how you're going to do your quotes. You can either go through CRM's quotation module, or quotations entity, I guess I'll call it, or you can use the SYSPRO quotation module. And if I just hit F5 to refresh this screen here, you'll see as I come down, here is the quote that came over from SYSPRO, and all of the details about that quote came over as well. So I know there's a bunch of people online that are interested in the integration. I think this is one of the first records that I'll show you is if I open up a quote, we are bringing in over basically all the details from the quote. So you get the quote number, here's the quotation status, and some more details on the status. Your total amount comes over, exchange rates, here's the kind of the general info, your probability codes, all of your date fields will come over as well. I don't have an address on this one, but my address, my ship to address fields, some other fields like salesperson, company, you can bring over the geo area, I think is available in there as well. So really all of your fields from the quote in SYSPRO will come over into CRM. As well, if you come over to the products here, you'll also be able to see the line item. Here's all the pricing detail that came over from the SYSPRO quote, and then comment lines, etc. will all be here as well. Now, I don't necessarily have to generate this quote out of CRM either. I could have just gone directly to SYSPRO and created a quote. So you may have, another department that isn't heavily using CRM. All the quotes that are created either way in SYSPRO will make their way over to CRM and be attached to the corresponding account. The other thing that's nice about these opportunities is they almost become like almost a project management, where it doesn't necessarily have to be a one-to-one. So I may end up sending out multiple quotes to this customer, and eventually those quotes may turn into orders, and those orders will be invoiced. Well, all of that detail, you can see over to the left here, is tracked underneath this opportunity record. So I get all the information about this sale, about this potential sale, and eventually did it become a sale, and what did we quote, and then what did we actually invoice for? So were there variances in terms of the pricing we gave, or the amount of products or the quantities that were put on those quotes? You'll be able to see all those details in the CRM system and then action upon them. So that was kind of my first little process. And if we review it, you'll remember I started in CRM at an email. I eventually just added that contact into the system. I converted it to an opportunity. I was able to create a quote and basically build my pipeline all without ever leaving Outlook. On the flip side, let's actually take a look at this full-blown version of CRM that lives inside of Outlook. So if I come down here to the Dynamics CRM section, what you'll see is all the different sections or the different, module groupings are listed here. And I can drop them down and I can start to break that into sections that are a bit more relevant to the departmental or that initial 3 stages that we looked at with my sales, marketing, and customer service type extensions here. The next process I'm going to walk through is looking at what I think is a real powerful tool is the dashboard system inside of Dynamics. And where it becomes real powerful is the ability to bring over all this SYSPRO information. So your SYSPRO inventory, your quotes, orders, and invoices, as well as purchase and buying history for your customers and AR. So if I come into my dashboard section here, the first dashboard that I have up is my Dynamics CRM overview. And this would be kind of a general day-to-day place where your users could come in and see kind of what's on their plate for the day or what are they working on currently. And I have just a few that are up here. Here's my sales pipeline. I have this broken down by phase. So we have qualification phase, closing phase, prospective phase, and you can see the different areas of the chart are colored accordingly with dollar values associated. To the right, here's a couple new leads that were added in for a campaign I ran. There was only one here. Here's open cases I may be working on, so service tickets, again by priority, normal or high priority. And then down below is some open activities that I need to work on. Things like collection calls, phone calls, or some emails that I need to follow up on. So it's a one-stop shop. It's a general place where I can come in, see all the information that I need to work on at a specific time or specific day, and kind of empty out my queues or follow up on certain areas. So if I want to close some of these activities out, I can work on those. Or in this case, let's take a look at our sales opportunities. So I'll see that I have $85,000 in my qualification stage. They're moving along, but they haven't really moved into this closing status here. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to take this little icon here, and I'm going to take this pipeline and I'm going to move it into a list view. And I'll open it up here. And what you'll see now is I have a list of all of my open opportunities. And these are all the open opportunities in the system. All these lists have views associated with them, so I could just see my open opportunities, or maybe open opportunities that were created this week, or I can create a personal view based on any field in the system. But the power of this comes in something that's called inline visualization. So I'm able to take this chart that's sitting over here to the right and manipulate and update the information that's over here on the left. So here's all the open opportunities, and here's the section that are in the qualification stage. Now I can create a view that shows them all in that stage, or maybe have a field up here that I want to sort by, or I could just click on this section of the chart, and you'll see that my list has now shrunken down to show me those relevant opportunities. So these are all the ones that are being qualified. Now you can take this a step further. Maybe I want to break that down and look at their rating. And I'll put that in a pie chart. And now you can see I have my hots and my colds, and here's 1 cold and 2 hot. So if I click on the hot section, you'll see it'll break it down even further. So it's a real quick and easy way that you can go through and update your data and view your data without having to run reports, sort through data, use find functions. You can just use this kind of this drill down feature within the charts to actually work your way to the information that you want to see over here on the left. Now once you've drilled this down, you can start to do some nice functions with the records that displayed. If I just click here and select all, I can check the value. Maybe I want to share this or assign this to another user as a manager. I can see these are hot. I might want to assign this to a high priority sales rep. I can export it out to Excel if I need to, or maybe I want to send them a direct email. So I'll click on here. I'm going to send them this 10% discount on opportunity. So this is the template that I'm going to use in my email, and I'll just hit send, and off it goes. And now if I look at one of these opportunities and go to the activities here, I'm going to go to the all activities and all here, and you'll see I've now sent out an email to the contact on this opportunity, and if I open it up, I was able to merge in information into this email that went out. So it was a special offer from the ABC company. I sent it to the contact on that opportunity, and then I was able to pull in the value of the opportunity and who the sales rep was that they were working on, and let them know that I can give them a 10% discount, and if they call back, I'll be able to adjust their quote and process their order. So real quickly, using that drill down function, I was able to identify records in the system as well as action on them. So I was able to send them those emails. I could have scheduled a follow-up for a sales rep, or maybe even triggered off a workflow that would have automatically sent an email and scheduled a follow-up and maybe sent them a different offer or something along those lines. So a nice tool that gives me the ability to take this information in a chart and then view it over here as a list view. All right. The last little process I'm going to go through right now is a customer service type process, and just to kind of give you some information about how we deal with that side inside of CRM. So I'm going to start over here in the service section, and what you'll see is we have cases, knowledge base articles, service contracts, or there is a scheduling module. So as you create these service tickets, I'll just real quickly show you that you can create or manage a service calendar that allows me to schedule out not only technicians but also machinery or equipment or trucks or tools that I may use to perform that support or perform that work. But I'm going to come in and create a case. Also remember, I could have just gone from an email, and actually I think I have an email in place that we could start from as well. So here's an email I got with a problem with an A100. And I recently purchased an A100, I'm having issues, please contact me, I think it may need to be replaced. So again, just like I created an opportunity, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to track this email. It now knows that email address, so it was able to find that. And I'm going to convert this to a case. Here's the customer. I can grab a subject off here. I'll just say it's service. And I'll hit OK, and that's going to open up my case form. Now, much like any other service ticket or service case module, you're able to designate some drop-downs here. So what was the type of case? And these can all be defined, during the implementation phase. What's the reason for this? I'll just say it was a technical problem. And again, you can go through subtypes. You can have status reasons, et cetera, as you go down. Down at the bottom is where I can put in some more detail. So problem with A100, once I've called them, I found out it was a bad motor or whatever the issue may be. And again, I can hit save. And now I have a case record that's stored against this account. But just like I created a quote from an opportunity, I can create a SYSPRO RMA from a case. And I'm not going to go through all the steps here, but I would create the RMA. Our standard RMA screen would open from SYSPRO. It would populate the customer against that. And then once I saved it, it would write that RMA number back here to the field inside the case. And if I open up the RMA record, I'm able to see all the details that were on the RMA. So all the information that came back. And I think I actually have one we can look at real quick so I don't have to go through those steps. So I'll come to this case here. You can see here's all the RMA numbers that have been attached. And if I open one up, here's the RMA number, and I can click on it and see those details. I can also receive or query that RMA, so I can receive the items on the RMA or query the RMA and maybe add some new items or modify it or whatever I need to there. So again, it just writes that data back. So that's kind of the service case side. Any billings, etc., can be done through expenses or parts, and then we can look at pushing those over to a sales order inside of SYSPRO. Or if there's a contract applied to this customer, they may get free support, etc. May go on that side. Real quick, I'm going to come back here to the dashboard section, and we saw this overview, but I did want to make a bit more of a point about the ability to utilize SYSPRO data inside of these dashboards. So if I drop this down, I'm going to come over here to a sales manager dashboard. And in this sense, I'm still looking at all these open opportunities, but I've also now broken up my sales orders by region. And I'm able to start seeing trends. I'm able to action upon orders that have placed in the system. Really able to see the details of the transactions that are going on in SYSPRO at the financial level inside of my CRM system. And here you can see the north region is kind of on an upward slope. Same thing with the east, where the south side and overseas are going down quite a bit. And one thing I'll see in the overseas is we actually had a loss in April. So again, I'm going to push this out to a list. I can come down here and click on April, and it's going to show me the 2 orders that were placed in April. And here's one that was for $9,200 that was a loss. And if I open up this order, just like I had all the details for the quote, I'm able to see all the details from the SYSPRO order. So I can see that it was a credit note. It has been completed. Here's the customer PO number that came through from the original order. Here's the total amount that was credited back. And then here's the terms and the branch and the geographic area, etc. As you go down in the orders, you'll get your sold and ship dates. Here's your billing and shipping address. If it was tied to an opportunity or a quote, I would see those numbers here, or an RMA to the right. And just like we had the quote, I can see the orders that were on the line, quantity, as well as how much came back. What's nice about this here is I saw that they sent 50 of these back, and maybe this was tied to a case and there was an issue with it. I now have the opportunity where I can click on the stock code itself. And I can come in and I can go look at this SER200, and I can see this is basically the inventory query from SYSPRO. So all of the fields from your inventory query are also available in CRM. Here's your description, long description, warehouse to use, all your gravity and factors in terms of units of measure. As we go down, it's basically the panes that you have from your query screen. So we have the general pane, replenishment, production, etc. Here's the serial tracking all the way down. So all the fields that are in the inventory query come over into this view of your stock code, and you're able to action upon this, report upon this, create dashboards on it as needed. Also over to the left, we also have all the warehouses for this stock code. And we can see quantities on hand, all in real time, quantity on order, quantity on back order. So a credit note came in as a sales rep. I'm working in CRM. I would see that against my account. It would be updated against a dashboard I may be in. Instantly, without ever even leaving Outlook, I could go and I can see, do we have any more of that on hand? I'm able to follow up with that customer and place an order right through Outlook or right through CRM as well. So real powerful tools in terms of the inventory, the order information, and eventually you'd see the same type of stuff on the invoice. The last little piece I want to show you here is this, this credit note was for Bayside Bikes. And the one piece I haven't touched on in terms of the integration is really at the customer level. And just like in the inventory query, we brought over all those fields from the inventory module, pretty much the same thing with AR. So I'm going to go through and kind of show you some of the fields that we've brought over here and the power of those tools that we can, the dashboard type tools that we can use and the charting tools we can use once we have this data. So here's Bayside Bikes. Up in the header, I've chosen their credit limit, which is a bit high. Here's their main phone and year-to-date sales. So I can see that at a glimpse right when I open them up. Their account name, company ID, and then phone, fax, email, website, etc. over here to the right. And then here's their SYSPRO customer number, which really is the link to pass this information back and forth. As you scroll down, I brought over fields like their FedEx number and UPS number. Whether or not these are standard fields in SYSPRO or you're using a standard field in SYSPRO for these values doesn't matter. All of the entities that I've discussed today that integrate customers, inventory, quotes, orders, invoices, and RMA, if you've created any custom form fields in SYSPRO, you can integrate those over to CRM as well, and it's bidirectional integration, so you can populate those on either side, and that data will come over also. Below there we have all the sales history. So from the sales history tab in the query, you have your previous year, this year, and this month's totals, as well as the prior 24-month periods. So a nice chart you could build would be, a graphical representation of this data. Down below there, the general details, geographic area, invoice terms, branch, salesperson, customer class. And another thing to note at this point is any of these fields can be locked down with security. You can also designate whether or not you want certain fields information to come over from SYSPRO into CRM. Below there's their credit limit, whether or not they're on credit hold, as well as payment terms, and if they're on any pricing lists. Here's some additional fields like their data last payment and data last sales, outstanding orders and order values. Again, these are kind of high in my demo data. Bill to and ship to address, as well as a separate CRM address. So if you just have a CRM contact address or an account address you want to put in here. As we go down, there's some general CRM fields like industry or number of employees, ticker symbol, that kind of stuff can be put in here as well. So that's most of the fields that you get inside a standard customer query. If I come over to the left and I look at this account extension, I actually have brought over all of the fields from the customer query, and I can open this up a bit more. And you'll see we also have their credit checking method. Number of outstanding orders is here again. Down below there, we've also brought over the management and customer notes. So if you're using the system to track that information, maybe in terms of collection calls or credit calls in AR, you'll see that information in CRM. Alternatively, you could just use CRM to track that information as well. Down below is information for split commissions. We have their EDI information, how they receive sales orders, etc., etc., etc. Really all the fields from AR are available in CRM and available in your list views, your reports, etc. So I'm going to close out of here and just come back into the main list view in CRM, and we'll just look at the list of customers. I think it's nice to note that although you can use those charts and graphs to find information, there's also quite a few other ways to get the data that you want to see. Number one is every one of these list views has a search bar, so you can just type in bike and it'll show you all the accounts that have bike, or you could use a wildcard for contains bikes. If you want to get a bit more detailed in terms of your searches, you can use an advanced find, and this lets you create pretty much a filtered look where status equals active and geographic area equals north, etc., and you can go through and see those results, and again, those will come back in a list view as well. Another nice tool is this universal search. So in this search, I can use it to actually search through all the entities inside of CRM. I've only selected these, but I could add orders and quotes, etc. on here. So again, if I type in bike, it's going to show me the accounts as well as the contacts as well as whatever opportunities or whatnot have that word in it. So it's kind of a multi-search in that sense. For those of you that are used to doing filters in Excel, all of these list views can be filtered as well. And I can filter on pretty much any of these fields. So if it equals or does not equal a certain value, it'll sort through that list and push that information. Another field to note is this released field, and this allows me to see which accounts are integrated to SYSPRO and which are just kind of in that lead or prospect status. You'll notice this account here, Saranda, is a no. If I open this account, as a selected user, I would have this release function available to me, and this would allow me to take this account along with all the details that have been added in CRM and push it up into AR. So I'm able to see that information in accounts receivable, link them together, and then tie back their account number into CRM and integrate that information going forward. As I mentioned at the start, Excel is a great tool for imports and exports. So I can export this data out. It can be a static or a dynamically updated list. And I can also import information into any entity or any record type that I need to. So migrating from some of your current systems or pulling information in from, from another system that you may use is all available. The offline function I talked about earlier, if I just come up to this CRM section while I'm in my mail, it's as simple as going offline, and I can either take with me the entire database or just a subset of the database. So I can just work with my accounts or just work with a certain number of accounts. Using this section inside of Outlook, I can also create activities, so tasks or phone calls or appointments in my calendar that are linked back to CRM, all without ever leaving my mail section. I can also create any record in the system that I need to as well without leaving Outlook. So if I need to add an account that's maybe not tied to an email or just create an opportunity on the fly, I have that ability as well. I do want to wrap up because I'm sure there's going to be a bit of questions, but I have a few other sections that I'll just show you real quick because I think they're kind of neat functionality. Number one is this What's New function, and this is kind of like a social media dashboard almost, where I'm able to see updates on where something like Facebook would be my friends. These updates are on records that I'm following in the system. So you can see I'm following 2 accounts, and if I click on here, I can see it's Bayside Bikes and the Bryan Company, obviously a test company. 1 case and 1 opportunity. And what this is, it's my wall, it's my What's New dashboard. So if anyone goes in and updates my account or updates that case or opportunity I'm working on, I'll get a post on my wall with information about it. So here's a case that I was working on. It looks like somebody went in and either added that case or updated it. And I can add a comment, please send them a new A100 ASAP. And now the user that was working in this A100 or that had created it will see this update on their wall. So not only does it become a place for me to get information, but it's also a place for collaboration internally against specific records. There's a nice announcements feature. You can use this internally to, and there it is, to post, company information or, the start of campaigns that you may have. It's basically just a big bulletin board that you're able to post up to your users, and you can give them notifications on that. Another nice thing about Microsoft Dynamics CRM is the extensibility of the product itself. Any of these records regardless of how it comes out of the box or the format that it comes in, you can move these fields around, you can add new grids, you can add charts, you can add any type of record that you want. In the case of Bayside Bikes, I went through, or in the case of my accounts, and I moved these fields around. It's all drag and drop functionality, so there's no coding behind it. I forgot to show this earlier, but I could even create multiple forms that certain users can see where other users can't see that information. Or I could create forms that are just strictly visual. So I'm still in that same account, and now I'm actually showing their orders or their case details in a chart view instead of having to go down to the list views and look up all that information. So as opposed to a dashboard at the system level, now I have a true account level dashboard, and I can do the same type of function really anywhere. Now, because of this extensibility and this customization capability, and it's all done just by coming up here and customizing your forms or adding on different entities. The marketplace for third-party developers for Microsoft CRM has really exploded. And it's the framework that the integration was written in, but it's also the framework that people are using to do social media type add-ons. So if you're looking at Twitter integration or Facebook integration, all of that's capable. If you want to use Skype integration for your phone calls, or Constant Contact or SurveyMonkey for some of your marketing campaigns. There's integration products available out on the Dynamics marketplace for almost any business application that you can really think of. And if not, the capabilities there for in-house developers to create that as well. So it is a true platform as opposed to just a piece of software. It does allow you to build onto it, and really it gives you that room for growth that will allow your company to grow with the product as opposed to growing bigger than it. So that kind of wraps up my demo for today. At this point, it looks like we have a few questions, and I'm having a little trouble seeing them on here. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Let's see if I can pop it out. There we go. Okay, so we have a few questions in the system. The first one is whether or not we can limit the modules that salespeople have versus someone else in customer service. And yes, definitely. I kind of covered that in talking about the multiple forms or the multiple list views. You can also modify the entities. So if I come back over here, that are available over on the left-hand side. So if all I'm going to be using is the service function, when I log in, this is all that I'll see. And I can add to that maybe the accounts and contacts, or add in the dashboard functionality and take away sales and marketing. So there's a very strong security framework behind all this, along with a very strong ability to customize the look and feel. The next section is that SYSPRO, or the next question is SYSPRO only allows one functional email address at the customer level, and that email is used for order acknowledgement, usually for the purchasing person. And in that sense, you can't really use it to send out invoices. So if you want to use CRM to send out invoices, that's available. These email addresses in CRM would only be in CRM. You could push them over to SYSPRO as custom form fields, but you wouldn't be able to use that in batch printing. However, you could use kind of the powerful tool inside of CRM to create an invoice template in the CRM system and batch print invoices out of CRM just in a different format. Now, you'd have to take note it wouldn't update the status in SYSPRO. So you could run the batch print program and then print it out in CRM to the email addresses that you've selected. So there's some discussion that would have to be had how to make that the best process, but it could be doable. The next question is whether or not Exchange Server is required or recommended. It isn't required. I would recommend it. It's helpful when you're sending out bulk emails, and it does make the system fairly seamless. But I do have a client they're using Gmail internally, and they just use the Outlook client to display those emails. And using Outlook, they're able to bring CRM in as well. I've noticed a little bit slower for the email to pass back and forth because it has to go out to like the Gmail servers, but definitely not required. I've had a request to show the marketing module. I don't necessarily know that I have time to go through that today, but we are definitely going to do some follow-up webinars. I'll let you know you can use it to do email blasts, schedule trade shows. You can set up activities against your users so they can plan against that. Plan against those trade shows, and you can track all that information against that. The first step or process to start using this would probably be to either contact your reseller or contact myself or someone here at SYSPRO, and we can set you up with a 30-day trial of Dynamics CRM. At this point, it's a bit difficult to set up the integration for a trial system, but we can give you access or definitely follow up with some additional demos if you want to see that functionality. How does Dynamics integrate with SYSPRO if you're not using SQL Server? That actually is not a possibility at this point. Your Dynamics installation does need to be on SQL, as well as SYSPRO needs to be installed as a SQL company. Any out-of-the-box dashboards? Yeah, there's a whole bunch that come out of the box with CRM, and you can add on or create new ones. There's probably a bunch you can download too from the marketplace if you need those as well. They're really easy to set up. It's drag and drop, point and click type stuff. If you have multiple Outlook clients on separate computers, you'll just need to hit a toggle switch when you move between those. There is no impact on SYSPRO licenses. Your SYSPRO is licensed completely separate from Dynamics as well as from the integration. Sales by product by customer. I don't have that report set up, but it's something I can set up. I guess I'll show you here just so you know. If I go into the customization section here, the system's based basically on relationships between entities. So we have accounts, here we have service cases, down below we have contacts. And one entity we have in here is invoices, and then the invoice products are a separate entity. So because the invoice is related to your customers and the invoice products are related to your invoices, you can easily create a dashboard or create a report that will show all the invoice products by customer. Right now I just don't have that set up. Can this have an impact on existing processes for things like users that send out invoices? That's really up to you. As I mentioned, you can either continue to use SYSPRO to send those out, or if you can go in and create an invoice template that is acceptable and suitable, you could use CRM to print those details out in just another format. Required versions of Outlook, I believe it works all the way back to 2003. So 2003, 2007, or 2010. I don't know before that. On the AP supplier side, there is no integration currently. So purchase orders and vendors or suppliers, whatever you want to call it, do not integrate, but you can use CRM to record that. Your pricing details is really situational. It's whether you're going to do the cloud version, the on-premise version. It comes down to number of users, and those can be broken into a whole bunch of different levels of pricing based on usage. So it's really, if you can go through your reseller or come to SYSPRO, we can sit down and discuss exactly what you're looking to set up, and we'll be able to give you better cost information. Office, Outlook Online, so I think you're talking about Office 365. Yes, that does work, and it works really well. Microsoft's really making a push for the cloud. They've invested quite a bit of information over the past 2 years or so to really pump up Dynamics and start to go fight people like Salesforce or Sugar, and they've done a really good job with it. They have an extensive server farms that are available to host this, as well as host Office Online. I haven't completely set it up myself, but I haven't read anything about lag times or anything about that. We do have a price list, Gina. I saw your comment here, so we can get that out as needed. Why would I use this instead of contact management? For those of you that know our contact management module, it does a great job of adding additional contacts, storing appointments, and also tracking activities against those contacts. And it does a great job of doing that, but it doesn't offer you this additional functionality like service cases or marketing campaigns or sales opportunities or the dashboard functionality. It's just a more robust CRM system. I guess that kind of caters to the next question against the in-house CRM system that we offer. Again, it's just a more extensible tool, a more extensible CRM system. It has quite a bit more functionality in terms of the Outlook integration and some of the dashboard capabilities. But it comes down to user preference, company needs, what you're looking to get out of a CRM system. Obviously, our CRM has a ton of great functionality. We just had a lot of people that were looking to be able to customize it a bit more, develop on top of it, or get a little more data in terms of some of the integration. And this was a package that was readily available. And then the last question here is, do we have existing customers that we can use as references? We're working on a reference list. Obviously, it's been fairly recent that we've started this. We started this partnership about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. There was quite a bit of a learning curve in terms of the implementers and tech support and installers to get up to speed on the product before we were comfortable to start selling it. So the list is growing. Obviously, it's a bit of work to get references, but we do have a few that we can offer if needed. The next one is there an upgrade or conversion path for SYSPRO CRM to Dynamics? There's 160,000 customers in the system. I think you would never have an issue in terms of the number of customers, number of records in this system. It's SQL based, and it does a great job of handling and filtering that information. There's also plenty of stats and information out there about number of concurrent records as well as number of concurrent users that can use Dynamics, and I haven't seen any lag in terms of either of those at all. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands up to millions of records without any issues. Okay, so hopefully I've covered all your questions here. I don't know if there's no other questions. I want to thank you for your time today. And again, if you have any questions, I'll bring back up this PowerPoint real quick just so you can jot down our email addresses if you want to contact us directly. And feel free to give us a shout if you want to set up some more kind of one-on-one type demos. We're definitely available to do that or answer any of your questions directly. So thank you.